Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
This episode is brought to you by Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like you know to check the date of the big game first before you accidentally buy tickets on your 20th wedding anniversary and have to spend the next 20 years of your marriage making up for it. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Northbrook, Illinois.
Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. And I've got a question for you. From wounds to wisdom, Alicia Farricielli has transformed adversity into a guiding light for others. And with her expertise in inner child healing, spiritual mentorship, and holistic life coaching, Alicia empowers individuals to break free from limiting beliefs. And so what if we had a special guest today who could talk to us all about emotional healing, trauma healing. And so I'm really happy to have Alicia on, coming from Florida, and to talk about her work. So Alicia, welcome.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Briefly introduce yourself and we'll dive into the questions.
Yeah. Again, I'm Alicia. I call myself an inner child specialist. So I work with a lot of people to help them tap into their inner child, find the wounds that are still remaining, and bring those into a very spirited, creative portion of yourself. So that's what I do. I do that through coaching, and I do that through speaking on amazing podcasts like yours. I do that through speaking engagements, through workshops, through all kinds of cool stuff. And I incorporate breathwork and meditation and energy healing and all kinds of cool modalities to start to release some of those traumas and wounds that are inside of us.
I love that. And I'm always looking to improve, and part of that, at some point, you have to address kind of the core wounds, and sometimes it can be extremely painful. And one question I have for you is, for the audience, what is inner child healing, and how is it different than personal development and helping unlock emotional freedom and discovery?
Yeah, so inner child healing is actually tied into that so many amazing ways. So when we think about ourselves, a lot of the things, problems that the situations we have in our lives that we're not so happy about, a lot of times are tied into these inner child wounds that we've taken and put in subconsciously through our mind and gone on through our adulthood. So your inner child is this little person that's still inside of you. I would say, I just take people back. If you go back to the age of 3, you can go back even further, and if you remember that, that's fantastic. Most people are between ages of 3 and 5, they can start to remember a little bit parts of their childhood and how you felt as a child, how free-spirited and creative. Even if you had major traumas going on around you, you still had this innocence about you, this creative spirit, the world was at your fingertips. You wanted to be anything. You could be Superman, Superwoman. If you wanted to be the president or an astronaut or whatever you decided you wanted to be, and at that particular moment, there's nothing stopping you until we get into society starts telling us who we're supposed to be. Our parents start telling us who we're supposed to be. Our teachers, even our friends, the media, everything starts to tell us who we're supposed to be, and we're put into this little box. And most of us are not happy. I would say, I don't know anybody that's happy in a little box that people have told them to be into. But we take that box and we go throughout our entire lives, and we start to define ourselves in our self-worth and our confidence and all the things who we are as tied to this box. And if we step out of this box, then we're a little unconfident. However, that's where the wounds start to take place. So imagine you had say you brought a paper home from school, and you were so proud of this paper because you thought you were going to fail this test. You're like, Mom, I got a B on this test. I was so excited. And our mom or dad's like, but you should have got an A or A+ because you studied hard about this. What's wrong? Then you're like, what's wrong with me? And it's not that your parents were trying to necessarily, they're actually trying to help you to achieve and be the best you could be. However, as an innocent child, because we take things so literally, you're like, wait a minute, there's something wrong with me because I didn't get the A. That means I need to work harder. I need to do more. I need to please my parents because that's what we initially want to do. And I need to do that through work and to earn that satisfaction and love. So that little wound's tied inside you subconsciously. And as you go out through your adulthood, when you're in your jobs and your relationships, you're working harder, you're trying to please more, all the things that we're doing. And no, most people don't realize it's tied to something just as simple, but not so simple. That's inside of you.
Yeah. I spent the weekend with my niece and nephew, and they're just kids and they're just playing and laughing. And like, I'm just thinking, yeah, I wish I was a kid again, because as an adult, you're like, no, you can't do this. You can't say that. You can't laugh out loud. You can't scream and yell and just have fun. The next question I have for you is just because you talk about a lot of it's based on self-esteem and self-worth. And a lot of people on the podcast, we discussed our doctors and lawyers. They're very high achieving. And a lot of this comes from this place that you were talking about, is like not being a good enough. I have to achieve. I have to do this. What are the most effective strategies you recommend for building self-worth and overcoming self-doubt?
Yeah. So I think we have to, in order to get to self-worth, we have to realize what self-worth is. And so we have to realize who we are. And who are we? We are not our jobs. You're a physician. You did a high achieving. That's not who you are. I'm sorry to break that to you. As amazing as your achievements are and as great as you're doing in the world, that's not who you are. Your core value person, you're just simply love. So you're doing the things, you're helping other people. I'm sure almost everyone does. You don't go through medical school. You don't go through all the ups and downs of all that to not want to help other people at some certain capacity. So that's what you're performing love through that, but you're not that actual thing. So we tie our worth into our titles, because that can be taken away from you at any moment. Your house, all the things that we have, like our materialistic things or the outside things that are not tied into our core being, when we have all that and that's who defines our worth, that's not self-worth. That's confident. I call that confidence. We're confident as in our professions. We're confident in our relationship. We're confident doing this. We're confident speaking, all this stuff. But that's not self-worth, because all that can be taken away and you still know that you're still valuable and you're still loved. So that to me is just the core of it. And it's a very easy concept in a way when you think, oh, that should be easy, but it's really hard to understand, especially when we're tied ourselves to that. So what we start to do is to come back to who we are. And a lot of that's I do that personally through meditation with people, guide them through with meditation to come back to their core center of who they are. And you could find the spiritual basis on this, and you don't have to be a spiritual person to come back to your central core of just being love. And also doing that is everything you do, just do it through love. And once you start to see that, you're going to feel like that's your self-worth. I know.
I love to ask this because we have a lot of spiritual healers and just mediums. And what does healing look like? Because, we have people suffering horrendous abuses to just this. And obviously, like these wounds, is it like, should these wounds have never happened? Or how does self-healing, because you talk about meditation and breath work, and how do these modalities help you to heal? It just seems so far away, but describe that to us.
Yeah, so I want to just make a differentiation. Is we have, what I talk about are smaller wounds. And so there are things that are happening to you throughout a daily basis that are subconsciously inside of us that affect us. That bigger traumas that are like, that have to do with the type of physical, sexual, mental, emotional abuse, those need to be dealt with with a licensed therapist that deals with trauma. So that pig trauma. So do that work first before you start coming into the smaller wounds, because that's such big work. And I commend anyone who goes through that process to do that, because it's hard. I've been there. So as we go through with the wounds, meditation and breath work tie in and start to release some of these things that are energetically stuck inside of us. And there's a lot of quantum physics studies that have come out that have a lot of proof behind this on a scientific level, that we have energies that are stuck inside of us that cause us to have diseases and things that get lodged. So once we start to release some of these things out, we can actually start to calm our nervous system down. And when we start to calm our nervous system down, we're able to receive in much more. So we're not trying to fight. If you're on scarcity, you're literally trying in survival mode, you have a tiger or something chasing you, you're not thinking about trying to heal a wound. You're trying to protect yourself at that moment. So we have to come away from that. And a lot of that is releasing some of these energetic things through energy work, through breath work, through meditation, to get to that central portion of being able to start healing. So that's where that ties into the healing portion of it. And once we start to do that, we can start on the process of opening up and really realizing what it is, what's blocked inside of us. And then we have to become how we're going to not become a victim in it. The things that happened to us in the past, they happened, unfortunately. They're part of your story. So you're going to keep that because you're not going to forget it. it's, if you say you forgot it, it's still subconsciously inside of you. You're not going to forget it, but you can rewrite that to where it's not your story anymore. And that's basically what healing is, rewriting the things that happened to you into a story of almost redemption, a story of being solid and back to that simple core of knowing who you are, self-worth, of love. And it's really hard when you've had things that you haven't healed from, to come back to that central core right there of just pure love.
I recently finished a book called The Body Knows a Score, and it's talking about, like you were describing this, storing the trauma. How does the body, or how does the body know where to store the trauma, and how do you locate it, and what does it manifest itself as? Is it like, because when you do this meditation and breath work, how do you know where the trauma is stuck, or how do you identify that?
Yeah, so there's several different ways that you can go through. There's a thing called inner family systems that Dr. Richard Schwartz, if you're familiar with that work, that's I'm not certified in that work, but I do use some of the principles along with it. So you can actually go into your body and sit and have a conversation with it. And like, what part of my body feels like it's angry? And the first thing that comes up, it's like a lot of times it's in your heart center, because you're not holding in, not in receiving. So a lot of anger is held inside your heart center. We held it in your throat center too, if you're holding it in. So it's really just going in and going into a deeper meditation. And there's tons of meditations on Spotify, YouTube that'll walk you through a lot of these to you. If you can't find them, reach out to me. I'm happy to send you some stuff or write one or create one for you. But as we go through and we don't process our emotions. So imagine stress, like most people are like this, just stressed out, like they hold their bodies just like this. They're not relaxing. And so when we're holding this up like this, that's tension, that's emotions that are staying stuck inside of our body. And it's creating all these things. So diseases start to happen whenever we don't release that stuff. Or we're holding anger inside of us. We're holding resentment. We're holding fear, the big one too. And it's called stress. It's called anxiety. It's called all kinds of other things in the medical term field. And that's why you hear things like stress is the worst thing for your body, like ongoing stress. Some stress is okay, but ongoing stress is so bad for your bodies because it's creating, it's nothing but a stored emotion inside of you. In order to release that, you could go in again and talk to that body part and ask it what it's feeling. Where did this come from? And almost like you're communicating. And that's actually what we do with inner child work, talking with your inner child as we go in and we talk to that inner child, which could be a body part as well. And we start to ask it why it's holding on to this emotion, and would it step aside and allow us to start to release it and heal and to see things through a different world. It's not a one and done thing. People think, oh, I'm going to go through and you're going to be magically healed. I don't believe that. There's people out there that probably can do, I haven't seen it personally, but there's people out there that claim they can do that, and that's fabulous. I hope they can. But it's an ongoing process of healing over and over and over and over again, peeling the layers off one by one and going through that process.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, that sheds more light. And the follow-up question is common misconceptions about healing. And, for the audience listening, we're going to talk a lot about just forgiveness and how do you know what forgiveness looks like. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. That's going to be the question. But what are the biggest myths about emotionally healing and inner child work? And how do you clarify them for your clients?
Yeah. So people think I had a fabulous childhood, but I don't know why I'm doing this. But it couldn't be my childhood because I had great parents. Even if you had the best parents in the world, they're still human. They still make mistakes, and they're still going to say things because have bad days. They'll say things. I'm a parent too. I know I tried to do the best I could at the time, but there's so many things that I did wrong. I apologize to my kids all the time. There's so many things that we think that it doesn't come from. Maybe it didn't come from a parent. Maybe it came from a teacher or another family member, or maybe a friend or some other peer that was involved in your life. So people think that they don't have any type of inner child wounds. I would say 99% of people in the world have some type of inner child wound. And again, I'm not talking about big traumas. I'm talking about a small wound that it could affect your financials, could affect your relationships, it could affect your business, affect your practice. It could affect every single thing in your life. This little wound could be affecting, and you could actually the great thing is you can release all that out. So yeah, that's the biggest one. The second one, talking about energy healing, you asked me probably 6 years ago, I would have laughed at you and said, I don't know what you're talking about. There's no way your body can heal itself. Go get on medication, do all this other stuff. which is there's a time and place. I'm not an anti-Western medication or anti that person, but I have witnessed and saw my own like physical health, my mental health, everything be completely restored through energy work, through Reiki, through intuitive like guidance and stuff. I've completely seen that happen through my life. And I've seen it happen with my clients, and I've seen it happen with other people as well too. That's how I know it's true. I absolutely tell people, give it a try. If it's not for you, we'll go into breathwork or do something different. If you have to have a certain openness to it, because it's like the heart center. If you're blocking stuff off, you're never going to receive it in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you open it up and receive in, you're going to get some benefit out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. The next question I have for you is, for a lot of the audience, they're professionals, they could be doctors, and burnout and anxiety are quite prevalent in the healthcare, compassion fatigue. And what actionable steps can individuals take to manage anxiety and burnout effectively?
Take a huge deep breath. I'm a big believer in breathing, because again, we're holding our breath in, we're breathing. We do like this. It's like, you can't, how much further can you go if you just stop and take in and release everything? Women, quit holding your belly in for a moment. Just release it and just breathe in through your belly and hold that up at the very top as long as you can. And then just slowly breathe out. And then just notice your body just start to relax. If you do this throughout the day, you're going to notice your nervous system starting to come back a little bit more. There's a thing called box breathing, which is breathe to the count of 4, hold for 4, out for 4, and then hold again for 4. That you can do that literally talking to patients, talking to your managers, whatever. You can do things like this. That's going to calm yourself down. Mm-hmm. And there's another thing I'll learn you is to basically sit here and rub your fingers, because when your touch is such an amazing thing. If you sit here and rub your fingers while you're getting anxious, your concentration is not on the anxiousness or the anger or whatever's coming in. Your concentration's right here on your fingertips, and you're paying attention to that. So do this throughout the day. Those are a couple of things just to calm the nervous system down. We want to get off the rat race. Our society is on such a hustle culture. There's a time in your life, maybe your early 20s, you need to do that. But as we get older, the older I get, I'm like, man, I don't want to do that anymore. My body, we were not designed to be these work beasts as society's created us to be. Take a break, take a vacation. My best months have been when I literally took off for a month. It's amazing how that works, because I've come back clearer, I come back more focused. Take those vacations. You can afford to do it. You can afford to do it. You can't not afford to do it. Let's put it this way. So take that time for yourself. If it's one thing a day, take that time. If it's going for a walk, if it's sitting for 15 minutes in sunlight, enjoying tea, if it's doing that yoga class, whatever it is, take that time for yourself every single day.
I love that. And I recently tried something where I would just basically just allow myself to get so bored and so restless. And that's when I knew it was time to go back. And because just the same stimuli and just over and over, you get numbed out and you get, and you just, that's contributes to the burnout, the other question I have for you is we'll have around 5 more minutes. And what does forgiveness look like? Because I know I like to use this example, and it may be, what is it called? Machiavellian. But let's say, for example, you suffered some micro trauma or major trauma, and then we're talking about this personal development, this breath work, Reiki, box breathing, all of that. And then we're healed. And then let's say we, like 5-10 years, we get triggered by that same person, situation, event. And what does forgiveness look like? Because, for example, let's say that person or event like really did you harm, and let's say they're in a position where they need your help. Is forgiveness like helping them, or just is forgiveness like letting them suffer? Is that their karma? What does forgiveness look like?
Forgiveness is 100% for you. Now, whether you choose to go back into it, that's your own call, and you should intuitively, your intuition on that. So when forgiveness, we're taught, you have to forgive, you forget, you have to move on no, you can't do that. Do not do that, because you'll put yourself back in the fire. You're basically saying, I'm no longer a victim to the circumstance or this person or whatever happened to me, but you also have to address, it was not okay that happened. So we're not saying it's okay. It's not okay that happened. However, these are the things I learned from this. I've learned, first of all, that I don't want to go back in that fire. I've learned the character of this person at this certain time, and people can change. I will say that. And I've learned that I'm going to got to set better boundaries. There's 3 things that you've learned from this situation. And be like, this is amazing. I've learned something from it, even though it hurts. And you're not going to forget it. People say you're not going to forget it. You're kidding yourself. But however, you're saying every time that comes up, it's, you know what? What are the 3 things I learned from this? Oh yeah, that's cool. So it still sucks, man. And you still have to go through and you still have to process through those emotions. And if you're angry about it, allow yourself to be angry. It's okay. Anger is not bad. Emotions are not bad. They're human. There's who we are. It's what you do with those emotions. So if you allow yourself to process through that anger about it and be like, you know what, I'm going to sit here and take some time, 10 minutes over, and just be really angry about the situation again. And then after the 10 minutes, I'm going to remind myself the 3 things I learned from this. And you know what? The cool thing, I don't have to go back and never see this person again if I choose not to. That's a boundary. You don't have to. It doesn't matter if they're a family member. It doesn't matter if they're your friend. It doesn't matter if you feel like it's not in the best interest of yourself. Go back intuitively. How does it make me? The person doesn't make you feel good about yourself. Don't go back in there. There's no part of your life. You've learned your lesson. Mm-hmm. So just that, to me, that's forgiveness, is just untying that, taking that victimization away. But again, it's all for yourself.
Yeah, I love that. And recently, it was a great quote by Oprah. She was saying forgiveness it's like you're forgiving. You don't say it was okay, but you're like, it's not okay for that it happened, but you're just choosing to let it go.
Exactly.
And that person or whatever may not even have realized, may not intend to realize. And then they're off living their life and you're stuck holding on to this. So it's like killing yourself. Yeah. And I love this idea of the boundary, because I know people that have been hurt in the past, and then the perpetrator comes back and then tries to get back into their life. But the proper healing is, okay, this happened, I let it go, but I'm not going to let that energy come back in. So
exactly.
So just final question is for triggers, because you were talking about meditation, breath work, all these like really long-term, like yoga, these healing modalities. But let's say you're like in the moment, you're triggered, your like heart rate's up, you're stressed out. How do you manage getting triggered?
Put your hand on your heart and breathe into your center and tell yourself, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. I love myself. I am safe. And just do that as long as it takes till you start do that. But you have to breathe through it. You can't just be like, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. You have to relax your shoulders. And it's a very intentional thing. And breathe into that space. And if you close your eyes and just say, and breathe, Alicia, you're safe. That feels so good. So when you start to get triggered, just do that simple thing right there.
Yeah.
And again, you got to follow it back up with some more stuff, because you can do this. You have to be doing this all day long if you're continually triggered. But for the moment, it's going to calm your nervous system down and make you feel safe, because that's what we're looking for. Is we all just want to feel safe and loved. Yeah. And love means you're safe. So we just want to feel safe.
Yeah. Interesting. And the more I realize it, the more like these triggers, they're just the stories that your nervous system created around something. And if we do what you did, just close your eyes and you realize you're not really in any danger. It's just that your nervous system got triggered by a stimulus. So, yeah. I really enjoyed talking with you. How can people find you and follow your social media, check out your work with you, and so on?
Yeah, the best way, obviously, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm not on Twitter, X, whatever it is. I don't have the time for that, honestly. I have a podcast, Intuitive Revolution. Check that one out. What else am I on? Pinterest, LinkedIn, almost all the channels. You can search my name. I'm probably the only Alicia Farricielli you will see. The best way to contact me, though, is through our website, is to go to aliciafarricielli.com and click on the top is book a free consultation. So there's a 60-minute consultation that's free of charge. Book that. We're going to chat. No obligation. If you want to sign up and I can walk you through some inner child stuff, more than happy to do that, but I'll at least give you some tips and techniques to walk away with. Yeah, just go to our website, aliciafarricielli.com. Get the book a call.
Yeah, excellent. And again, thanks so much for coming on, and keep up the great work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on here.